There was always that gift, the one that topped your list, the one you circled in the Sears catalog until the page curled, the one you told Santa about at the mall just to make sure he got the message. For kids in the 90s, Christmas morning was the ultimate reveal. Weeks of commercials, wish lists, and wild theories about what might be hiding under the tree, all leading up to that heart-racing moment when the wrapping paper hit the floor. The magic of Christmas wasn't just about what we unwrapped. It was about the build-up, the wonder, the belief that this might be the year our wishes came true. So grab some cocoa, cue the Mariah Carey, and join us as we unwrap the memories, myths, and must-haves of 1990s Christmas, the gifts that made the season, and maybe the ones that got away too. Let's play a memory.
Podcasting together since 2017. Have we ever done a Christmas episode before?
I don't think we've ever done anything besides a Festivus type episode where we list some grievances.
Okay, so this time around we're going to be a little bit more positive. We're going to be nostalgic, of course. And yeah, we thought it would be fun to share with each other some Christmas gifts that we received in our childhood in the 80s and 90s that have stayed with us, that we're still thinking about. And we've been talking about this for a couple weeks. I've had a lot of fun trying to come up with my list because there are the toys that I remember from my childhood, but they weren't all necessarily Christmas gifts. So that kind of was an interesting exercise. So Steve, I'm excited to hear your list and hear the stories about why these gifts are important to you and kind of what was going on in your life at that time. Because I know when I was putting mine together, it brought me back. It brought me back to all three of these Christmas mornings. So why don't you kick things off and share the first gift on your list?
Yeah, and kind of thinking about this episode too, I couldn't, you can't help but realize, like, growing up in the era that we did in the 80s and 90s, it was really peak TV commercial time for toys, games, and that just comes with the rise of cable TV and, expanded channel lineups and channels that are geared towards kids like Nickelodeon and Disney and MTV. And a lot of the commercials at that time were really ones that have stayed with us. And it was not lost on me that that's a big reason, I think, why some of the buildup for these things probably was so great. And I can remember the very first gift that I saw as a commercial that I had to have. And it was this thing called Super Van City.
Super Van City! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Super Van City was this, at first, if you looked at it from the outside, it looked like this oversized van, basically. This white oversized van with stickers on the outside of it that honestly looked like if you just pushed it around the floor, like you would think that was the toy. But if you popped it open, it opened up, 4 panels flopped open, and basically what you were left with was this entire micro machine city that explodes to life. So you could set it up where you had, a section of the city that was for racetracks and twisting highways, and you could zoom across these city streets with little mini cars on the inside. There was a car wash section. There was an airport where you had airplanes where you could utilize those. You could explore different buildings and bridges, and there were really hidden surprises around every corner. And immediately I was like enthralled by this thing. I felt like I had to have this. And I remember my mom telling me as I got older, and we would talk about this story, that I never really apparently asked for anything as a kid, like for Christmas. I never was like, I need to have this or I have to have this. This was really the first thing that I remember coming to my parents and saying, I would really want this. So that is all I know about the story from my perspective. I saw it, I asked for it, and I did my job. As I got older, I learned the other side of the story, which is, what I have learned as a parent, and many of you listening to this has learned as whether you're a parent or a gift giver of any kind in a family, You need to go get it, you need to secure it, and you need to send it. And my parents heard me. They saw my Christmas list, right? They were going to go out and they were going to get this thing, and Santa was going to deliver. The only problem was they couldn't find one anywhere. And you name where they went to at the time, whether it was Service Merchandise, Caldor, KB Toys, Toys R Us, they could not find one anywhere. Nobody could tell them when they were going to get a shipment in. They were striking out left and right. They would call down to my family that lived an hour away from us in Yonkers, New York. Nobody could find one down there. And then they got a call from family members of ours who lived in Georgia, who apparently found out about the plight of my mom and dad, who could not find this super van city to save their life. And lo and behold, my cousins in Georgia found one and shipped it up from Georgia. It arrived, I believe, the day before Christmas Eve. And Christmas morning, opened it up. I had no idea the lengths to which my family went through to get this for me, but there it was under the tree. And I played with that thing for a very long time. I can remember for years as a young kid using that and building the city and reimagining areas. And it was a very, very cool thing for me to have. And it only makes it more special because as I've gotten older, I found out that story and you know, what my family went through to do that. And I get it now as an adult who has a son. I get the whole, you don't want to let your kid down. You want to do for them, and it makes it all the more special.
Wow. You had actual elf cousins in Georgia that helped facilitate getting you this gift. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard of any parents going to lengths like that, but it's also like, I just may not be privy to it. Like you weren't privy to it.
Yeah. You remember the movie Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad? Like, it reminds me of that situation. There was only one and everyone's fighting over it and you can't get it anywhere. And I mean, lo and behold, everything kind of works out in that, but it was the same thing. And, it's just something that I remember more, obviously, as I get older, for the story of what my family did for me than I do for the toy itself.
Yeah. Oh, I love this because it's a double gift. You got this physical gift as a kid, this thing that you wanted so badly. And now as an adult, you have a gift of this learning how much your parents loved you and the lengths they went to get it for you.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. And as I've gotten older, it's like the part two of the gift that you learn about that actually becomes what it means, than anything else from the toy standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before I get overly emotional, I'll move to mine, which is...
We still have a few more to go here, so yeah.
Which is not emotional. It's quite silly. I have a little bit of a backstory for this as well. I know a lot of families, and my family was the same, that really made it a point for us to always, even though we were seeing family Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that we would always do Christmas morning at our house and be able to, open our Santa gifts. But there was one year in my whole life, and this only happened once, where we did Christmas morning at my grandparents' house, at my dad's parents'. And I think that I've narrowed it down that I'm 3 or 4 years old. This is something that I bought into like it was no problem at all, but we still did a Christmas morning at my house, at our house, on Christmas Eve morning. And my parents just told me, Santa's going to come to our house the day before. And I was like, sounds great. And I remember telling my neighbors, Susie and Andrea, my two little friends, we were playing. I'm like, oh yeah, well, Santa's coming to my house tomorrow, and then he's going to come again to my grandparents' house. And they were like, no, he's not. I'm like, no, he is. And he did. So that worked out.
What are you talking about? Of course he is.
So we did this Christmas Eve, but true Christmas morning at our house. Christmas Eve, we went to my grandparents, and this is where I got the gift, was at my grandparents' house, the one Christmas morning we did with them. And I haven't fact-checked this with my parents, but because of the nature of the gift, I'm wondering if this was a gift from my grandma. Like, my grandma was the person who picked this out for me. So the gift itself is called, I have to read this because there are so many P's in this sentence. It's the My Little Pony Poof and Puff Perfume Palace. I mean, if I can't say that now in my 40s, I definitely don't think that I could have said this when I was 4 years old.
I'm a My Little Pony, mommy, I do it by my family.
Similar to your toy, Steve, a gift that opens up and has things inside of it. There are accessories for the ponies, like there's like a hat and like a little stole, but then there are like makeup that you can actually use. I remember using this tiny lipstick and like actually putting it on my lips. But on top of this whole contraption was this larger size, like perfume poof that you could squeeze and a real scent would come out.
Oh, wow.
And that scent, I can still conjure it in my head. I don't know what flower it is, but that has stayed with me.
I just like how we both got things that you open up and inside is this whole world of stuff that like doesn't
Yeah.
appear on the outside. Yes, we
Yeah.
were very much aligned with our style of memorable gift. Do you feel like all of the P's in this title of this gift contributed to your love of alliteration, which then contributed to your writing career?
I don't think so, because as adults, we're looking at the packaging, we're looking from the gift from the outside in. When we're kids, we take off the wrapping paper and we open up the box and the box gets thrown away. I don't think I knew what this product name was. I had to do a lot of Googling even to, my Google search was like, My Little Pony perfume toy. I didn't even remember that it was like kind of this thing that you would open up. In my mind, it was like more of like a flat. So I almost wasn't trusting that. But no, this is, once I started looking at the little accessories, I'm like, oh, yeah, that lipstick that I probably got poisoned
You
from.
remember it. You remember it immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the story that your mom told at the outset about how it was going to go to just like, make sure that you were good with the plan. And then it was just sort of like what you got once you got there. And yeah.
Oh yeah, it all worked out. I mean, that was a double Christmas year. I would do that I would sign up for that every year.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think every kid in that generation and probably every kid in this one too would be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second one of the three, chronologically, I'm going out of order. This was definitely the last of the three in terms of when I got it. But it was like one of the first ones where I was just like this overwhelming feeling of like cool was present immediately with it. So I grew up a very big, and I still am, Dallas Cowboys fan. Some of you are going to listen to this if you know this, and you'll know the story. And some of you who might be listening to this for the first time might be like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard," but it is a legitimate thing, and it's just part of how lore kind of is in with the Dallas Cowboys. But their colors are white and blue. Historically speaking, of the two uniform colors, blue has always been this bad luck jersey for Dallas over the years. A lot of their big games in the 70s and 80s and 90s, when they would wear blue, they'd end up losing or things wouldn't go their way. A lot of teams would catch on to this and force Dallas to wear blue. So those teams would wear white at home. So Dallas would always wear their white jerseys because they would wear them at home and they would also wear them on the road. So predominantly speaking, they were always in white. But also if you go along with like Texas and Western, white is always what good guys wear. And that's kind of just how this goes. Yeah. And conceptually behind it, the owner of the Cowboys at the time, when they became a team in 1960, wanted the fans coming to the game at Texas Stadium, at the Cotton Bowl originally, and then at Texas Stadium, to have the product look different every week. So when a new team would come in, if it was Kansas City or San Francisco, they would wear red. The following week, Philadelphia might come in, they're wearing green. Every team coming to Dallas would look different, so it looked like a different product every week. So that was kind of the rationale behind it. But when I was a kid growing up, I was a Cowboys fan. I got my very first jersey when I was in 4th grade, and it was a navy blue Troy Aikman jersey. I actually still own it. It's in my closet upstairs, one of the ones I will never part with, which was really cool. I loved it. I didn't really know a lot about it at the time, that it was, blue was unlucky or lucky or whatever it was. It was just cool to have a Cowboys jersey. But you get older, figure things out, you learn a little bit more. You see them always wearing white, and you're like, it'd be really cool to have a white jersey. Now, I never asked for a white jersey, never asked my parents, never put it on a Christmas list. But Christmas morning, 1995, opened up a box, and there inside it was a white Deion Sanders Dallas Cowboys jersey, and I shrieked. I could still hear it. I can hear the sound. Put it on immediately. Was definitely like down to my knees, and the sleeves were a little bit long, but it was mine, and it was just perfect. They would go on to win the Super Bowl that year. It was just part of that sort of like, I remember getting it. I remember wearing it for the first playoff game a couple of days after Christmas, all the way through the month of January up into the Super Bowl, and wearing it to school. And it was just the greatest, as a 10-year-old coming into, fashion and trying to be cool and all those things that we all kind of feel when we're kind of, on the outset of going into middle school. Like it was perfect. And my son, I mentioned him a little while ago. He's loves football, does love the Cowboys as well. 2 Christmases ago, had gotten him a white Dak Prescott jersey, who's their quarterback now. And I can remember him opening it up, not knowing what was in it. He didn't ask for it either. And all of a sudden he held it up, and just the look on his face when he saw it, like you could see the red flushed face. And like, I know that feeling. That was the exact same feeling that I had as a 10-year-old. And it was fun to watch it as a parent, fun to experience it as a kid. Certainly one I won't forget.
I feel like that for you was the perfect age to get a gift like that. I was talking to my parents about this recently, that my oldest niece and nephew are 9 and about to turn 9. And there's something about like this like 9, 10 age that's so great, because they're still like, they're so innocent, like they're kids and things like that. Like getting a gift like that, their reaction to it would be so just like pure joy and gratitude and surprise. But yeah, they're old enough to be able to like articulate that to you, where I think kids when they're younger, at least this is the way I remember being, and this is what I see with my younger nieces and nephews, is like, you open up your gift and you're like, okay, like what's next? I can't, this was for you, it was different. This was like, I'm going to pause. This is becoming part of me. This is going to become part of my life, this year of my life. The fact that they won, there's something like later, that year, I feel like there's something about that just makes that gift so much more magical. All right, I will move on to my next one. This is also, I love that we're kind of identifying the gifts that we asked for versus didn't ask for. This is a gift that I did not ask for, but I can't imagine that I didn't know what they were. So this was, the official name of this was the Mr. Sketch scented markers that I think pretty much every kid, whether you're 80s kid, 90s kid, or even 2000s kid, probably knows what this is.
For sure.
I always called them just smelly markers. and when I was searching that, I'm like, this is a terrible name. Why would they call them smelly markers? And that's not the name. They're called scented markers, which is a much better choice, I think, from a marketing perspective. Choice. But I'm pretty sure that I received these around 5 or 6. We're back at home. We're regular Christmas morning on December 25th. And what was special about receiving these, not only that they were, I think I used these for like my entire childhood, but I was gifted them with a stack of newsprint weight paper that was big, about 18 by 12. At the top was blank, and at the bottom was lined, kind of like that classic elementary school when you're learning your letters to try to get the letter forms correct. I don't know if they still do this, but I got those 2 things together, and I remember this was, 5 or 6 years old. I'm like just starting to learn how to write and learn how to tell stories and drawing pictures that are going with my stories. And I remember using those 2 items together for many, many years. And Steve, it's funny, with my first gift, you said, okay, did this alliteration have any impact? And you going on to writing, not with that, but this for sure.
Yeah.
This is I can kind of like see the beginnings of finding joy in writing and drawing and bringing the two together. And I was thinking that even though this wasn't necessarily a gift that I asked for, that if I were to go back as an adult and give myself a gift as a kid, like this would be the gift that I would get for my younger self.
Oh, I love that. That's how you know it meant something, right? And
Yes.
the memory, and but also like what it led to in your life. You know, how it maybe sparked something or was the inspiration. Because I feel like everybody who's had those markers, and you know, again, growing up, like they were around. You probably had them if you're listening to this, right? But like, or at least had them in school or whatnot. Like they had such a presence, regular presence in your life, whether it was at home or in art class or in certain things in school. So you know how much they meant. But to get them in couple with the paper and like the ability to kind of tap into your inner creativity at such a young age and have that be supported, you know, and nurtured through those gifts is just really cool.
Steve, did you have of all the scents, one that you remember being your favorite?
What was it the black one? Was black licorice?
I think so.
Yeah,
That was your favorite?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite because I don't know if I had a favorite. It's the one I remember the most. It's the smell that I can recall when I think about that pack.
I feel like that was the worst one.
Oh, nobody likes black licorice, but like it's but you know, but it's like but I do remember that
that's
smell.
what stayed with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
mean, I
very
wasn't
you,
but
Conan.
I'm not but that should tell you something. I'm not an artist. So so what do I know?
Yeah, I think my favorite one, it was one of the blue ones. Both the blue ones kind of had berry scents. I think it was the lighter one. If I had to pick a favorite scent, it was that one.
We had talked about in the opening of this show, sometimes it's the gift, sometimes it's the build up, sometimes it's the way it's given to you. And for the third one for me, it's just that. The backstory behind the gift, I'll tell you what the gift was up front, because really the gift, although it was impactful, pales in comparison for me to the story. So the gift was a guitar, and growing up, I was fortunate enough to grow up in an era where a lot of the kids' music that we used to listen to was not similar to what you hear today. It wasn't they weren't playing music that was playing down to kids or wasn't cartoonish. You know, like I grew up, obviously Mr. Rogers had been around for some time, but I grew up with a lot more of Sharon Lois and Bram, Raffi, Fred Penner. These were all kids entertainers and musicians that included some element of a guitar. Bram of Sharon Lois and Bram was their guitar player, and Raffi played guitar, and Fred Penner played guitar, and I was very much drawn to that. And I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to learn how to play and sing and be on stage and do all of those things at a young age. And I remember getting this knockaround guitar that my dad picked up probably at a flea market or something like that. And that was cool, but the thing was like huge. I mean, it looked comically huge. And I don't know if they noticed that too, or if they wanted to make an investment and get me something that was going to grow with me, something that I could grow with. So I probably would have been about 8. Christmas morning came and Christmas morning went. And what we would typically do as a family is we'd wake up, we'd open up some gifts, we'd break for breakfast, we'd come back and continuing opening up gifts. My mom and dad would then open up their gifts, and then everything would kind of go about their day. So we were at that point where everybody would kind of like, you know, you start going about your day. If there's dinner later in the evening, you know, maybe some of the adults, my mom and dad, my grandmother would start working on certain things for dinner prep. But the morning was starting to kind of disperse a little bit. And my dad was in the kitchen, and we lived in a raised ranch. So if you walked out the kitchen, the back door of the kitchen, you were on the deck. And my dad had walked outside and kind of like looked down, and he goes, "Steve, there's something down there." And I looked down, and there's a present on the ground in the snow at the bottom of the back deck steps. And my dad goes, must have fallen out of the sleigh last night. And so he's like, go down and see what it is. And I walked down and, put on my boots and walked down and opened it up. And it was a large, fairly large gift. And that's what he's saying. He goes, must have fallen out. Must have been so large that he put it down and forgot to. So I walked down and opened it up and tore it open. And sure enough, it was a guitar. And it was everything. It was like immediately I saw myself like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn how to play guitar. Like, this is going to happen. Like, this isn't this big clunky, like old wooden thing that didn't sound right when you strummed it. Like, this was a legitimate thing. And I played for about 5 years, like I took lessons and all that stuff. But again, like I said, like I obviously don't play it anymore, but just the thought of being a kid and you're getting to be that age. We all know that age where questions might start coming and things might start, you might hear kids, telling you different things. I don't know if that was the intent behind it or if they just wanted to do something special, but it was something that made me believe again, for another year and let that keep going. And I'll never forget looking down off the deck in the snow, and there it was, just kind of like, against the side of the deck stairs, and it looked like it fell out. Like it just honestly looked like it, would have just dropped off the roof or something like that. And so I will always remember that vision. And then obviously learning how to play for a few years after that.
Your parents are so committed. I mean, what a,
yeah,
like
they kept it going.
Like,
yeah,
a long play too. Because I mean, when I get gifts from my nieces and nephews, I cannot wait to give it to them because I'm like, and I'm watching them as the, for their reactions and everything. But to go through all of that, to wait. I mean, it's one thing to have done that right at the beginning, like, oh, I think I see something out the window, like kind of in the, like the opening, the beginning of the Christmas opening when there's like the frenzy. But to have waited all of that time to like that point in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah. This is, I think this is it as you get older and you start thinking about like what your parents did, if you were fortunate enough, what your parents did for you and what you want to do for your kids or what you want to do for your family, how you want to show up for them and how you want to make memories and make it real or seem as real as it can be. Because I think that's it. Sometimes it's the gift and sometimes it's the buildup, but a lot of times it's what it means and it's the context in which it's given that will last with you for years, for your whole life.
I don't know if you want to even like share this or not, but do you think that you'll use that tactic with Ryan?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think it's a good one. I think the gift has to be right. It's got to be one of those kind of things. Like, it can't be something that it can't be one of those things where like he really wants it and it's not under the tree and that's the last one. And it's like, because that's a really tough one to kind of come back from. And I don't know if I want to yo-yo the feelings. So it might be something that he doesn't know that's coming one of these days or one of these years. But I think so. I think we'll do it at some point in time.
Okay. One more detail question.
Sure.
Was it wrapped?
No, it was, if you've ever seen a cardboard case that a guitar comes in, right? You have like the ones with the buckles and the one that actually looks like a guitar from the outside. This one was in a brown box that was almost shaped like a triangle that didn't have a point. So it was a flat top and then kind of like opened up down the bottom. But that's how it was laying on the ground. So you could see it, it was, I don't know if it was taped or whatever it was to keep it closed, but that's what it looked like. But I didn't know it was a guitar. I didn't know that that's what those things kind of come in. So,
because this is one of those things, you grow up and you think that the thing that your family does is the thing that everyone does. For our family, we didn't get a ton of gifts from Santa. It was usually only like maybe one or two like big gifts. And then so the Santa gifts were never wrapped. Those were just out right out of the sack. And the gifts from, I think that we also had gifts from my parents, and those ones were the ones that were wrapped.
Okay.
Did you did you get gifts from your parents, or did you only get gifts from Santa?
I think we got gifts from everybody, from both. They were all wrapped. We talk about this every now and then. We used to have, like, you have gift boxes at home, things that you get like with clothing inside of it or whatever it is. And in our house growing up, we always used to keep the boxes. We used to have this one box, and it was from a department store called Stearns. And it was do you remember Stearns?
I do.
Okay. Yes. It was very typewriter-esque, a typewriter-esque font. This box had a white base and a gray silver, but silver top, and Stearns right across the middle of it, not taking up much space. The box was like multi-purposed in our house, right? Like when it was my birthday and I would go to school with cupcakes, there would be cupcakes in the Stearns box that I would carry on to the school bus every year. But every Christmas, somebody would get the Stearns box. Somebody's stuff was in the Stearns box. And there were some years where it was definitely like a Santa gift that was in the Stearns box. And dummy here, like, never put two and two together. Like, damn it, how is this box continuing to be used every year? So the Stearns box used to have this like reoccurring like presence almost at every family function, birthday, Christmas, cupcake deliveries, whatever. But that definitely was like, that was a sign, and I completely whiffed on that sign growing up as a kid.
You know what? We were taught that Santa is magical, so
Yes.
when it came to things like that, I'm like, we don't need an explanation because we don't really understand how his magic works.
Right.
That's
right.
the story I kept telling myself because I'm the oldest in my family. I mean, we did Christmas, like legit Christmas morning. My sister Laura was, 10 and I was 20, and like, we're still doing Santa Christmas morning. So I had to kind of like create the story for myself to keep the magic alive.
Yeah. To this day, I miss the Stearns box. That box had 9 lives. It was bent in certain spots, but I missed that box.
Did it become a joke, like when you guys got older, like who's going
to get the Stearns box? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It definitely, that box was around until my parents moved out of our house. That thing was probably around for a solid 20 years.
And I'm sure like they're getting rid of stuff and like, of course, why would you keep this? But now, like, you telling that memory, like, I know that if you had an opportunity to get that box, you would keep it.
Yeah, that was the box that had some depth to it. Like the shirt boxes and the things that you get these days now, if you get them from stores or whatnot, like they don't fold the right way. They're annoying. They cave in the corners. Like this box had some depth to it. Like you could probably stack like 2 or 3 shirts in it, right? And it would have plenty of space for it all. So like I said, it was a good cupcake box.
They just don't make those cardboard boxes like they used to. All right. Speaking
what is
speaking of boxes, I'm pretty sure that these gifts came in boxes like this, but miniature versions. If you watch this show on YouTube, in the opening of every episode, there are photos of me and Steve when we're kids. And in my photo, I am holding my most treasured gift of my childhood, which is my Samantha American Girl doll. And I wish I could have brought that to this gift memory roundup, but I got that as a birthday gift. And I'm pretty sure that the photo that I used, that's actually like when I got her. But for all the other American Girl doll aficionados, which I'm sure there are a lot from our generation, know that it's not just about getting the doll, but all of their different outfits that corresponds with the books and the accessories, and the American Girl doll catalog was like such a staple in my childhood. I think looking through that catalog was in some ways just as enjoyable as actually playing with the toys and the outfits. So going forward in time, I think I was 8 when I got my Samantha doll. So I'm thinking maybe this was like, my birthday's in June. So I'm thinking that this was probably later that year. I loved the books for like a couple of years, even before I got my doll. And there were 2 outfits that I remember getting together that corresponded with these books. So the first one was Samantha's school outfit, which in doing research is called her Buster Brown dress. And this went with her story, Samantha Learns a Lesson, in which I still love American history, but I feel like this really was foundational in me learning these stories. And this Samantha Learns a Lesson story was kind of learning about child labor. Samantha was like kind of wealthy because she lived with her rich grandmary, but she had this friend who was poor named Nellie. And I think that Nellie works in a factory. And in school, Samantha had to give a speech about something, and she ended up raising awareness about this like child labor issue that Nellie was going through. But
Principled.
But the outfit was super cute. It's this like gray flannel dress. It's got a little bow tie and a little white collar, white cuffs with buttons, like a drop waist. Steve, I would wear this dress today. And in the catalog, they had the model who was like the Samantha model. Like, I feel like this person is like a family member because I've looked at these costumes so many times. So sadly, I never got any of the me-sized versions of these outfits, but that Christmas, I got the Samantha school dress, and then the second dress that I got, another very coveted item, was the one that was paired with Samantha Saves the Day, which is like a sailor outfit, and it's like a really cute white outfit. It's got like the blue piping on it. It's got a little anchor. It comes with a hat. It's like very reminiscent of like a Donald Duck hat. But the best part of this outfit is that it came with a whistle, a working brass whistle that she wore as a necklace. And I'm sure my parents loved that it was like fully functional. Eventually, I also got her Christmas dress, her red Christmas dress with the white collar. But then there were still two outfits that I never got that I'm still thinking about. Her cape from Changes for Samantha, which is the last book, and the one that I still like really want and still think about when I go back and look at look at throwback posts online. Her birthday outfit, which is this really cute pink striped with like a little pinafore apron thing, and she has one of those like crowns with flowers on it. Steve, you have no idea like how immersed in this world I was at this age.
I definitely do not. And like, these are the kind of things though, as adults, like we talked before about my love of the Cowboys. There are things that, that they would wear on the sidelines or that they had that I'd obviously like wanted so badly, but I never really asked for anything like that as a kid and obviously never got it. But I can recall being an adult and finding one of these items on eBay and being like, yeah, I don't care if I'm not even wearing it. I'm just getting it because I want it. And I wonder, like, if would there ever be just to say I have it? Because I'm assuming that these dolls still are in storage somewhere or that you have them, like, just to say that, like, yep, now it's a little bit complete. Like, would you ever consider that?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that. I'm like, I'm not judging, what my parents spent money on and didn't spend money on, but in answering that question, like, is this something that I would buy? I'm like, this is $20. Like, yeah, I'll just buy this, like, just to have it. Who cares?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, I'm going to get it and I'm going to look at it. And it's not the same as if like I got this when I was 9. And not to say we had so many toys and we were, blessed in so many ways. And I think in some ways it was good because I had friends who were like only girls in their families, and they had like all of the dolls and all of the outfits and all like the bed, like all of the many accessories. And I really only had like this small collection, but they were really special to me and I really took care of them. And they were my sisters, each of them got a doll. I feel like I was also like really like precious about those too. So yeah, I felt like it was like I don't think that we would do it on this show because I wouldn't want to make you sit for any longer and listen to American Girl doll stuff, but that could probably warrant its own episode.
Yeah. I imagine so. You could probably do your own series on it. I mean,
yeah,
feels like
I think
it.
that people have, that there are some out there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're giving yourself any gifts this year, how many of these things are you like finding on eBay and ordering for yourself that were on your list today?
Well, based on all my research this morning, I think I'm going to start to get targeted with all of these. And after seeing that the price tag for something like Samantha's birthday dress that I didn't get was only like $20, like, I may be adding to cart.
Yeah,
how about
completely.
you? I feel like the van would be first on my list to try to find. version
I
of
would.
that.
I've never actually done any digging to see like what they go for on eBay, but I could see even like Ryan getting into that and playing with it, and then totally being like, shove over, like let me get in on this for a little for a little bit too. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll make an appearance under the tree, and 35 years later.
I love this. The tradition continues.
Only if it comes in a Stearns box though.